The first time I heard the Comet sing, I was burying my golden retriever, Barnaby, in the backyard. And the second time I heard it, Barnaby was digging himself back out. This isn't a metaphor. I wish to God it was. If I were a braver man, I would have put the shovel through the thing that looked like my dog. But by then, the sky was already bleeding that impossible colour, and bravery had become as obsolete as the laws of physics. My name is Arthur Penhaligon. Until 3 days ago, I taught high school physics in Yardley, Maine. I spent my life explaining the comfortable, predictable rules of the universe. Gravity pulls, energy is conserved, entropy increases. I told teenagers that the universe was a clockwork mechanism, vast but indifferent. I was wrong. The universe isn't some glorious machine. It's a dangerous jungle. It started in March. That's when NASA found it. Designation C 2024 Omega, nicknamed the Peregrine. It came from the Oort cloud, they said. A chunk of dirty ice and primordial rock falling towards the sun. But the math didn't check out. I remember looking at the orbital data on my laptop in the teacher's lounge, chewing on a ham sandwich that tasted like sawdust. The trajectory was too clean. Comets wobble, they outgas, they drift. The Peregrine moved with the terrifying precision of a scalpel making an incision. The internet lost its collective mind, naturally. The conspiracy theorists on Reddit screamed aliens until their caps lock keys broke. They claimed it was a mothership, an ark, a galactic surveyor. The religious zealots claimed it was the Wormwood Star, the opener of seals. The scientific community, desperate to remain the voice of reason, simply called it an anomalous hyperbolic object and promised a spectacular light show as it grazed Earth's atmosphere. Closer than the moon, they said. A cosmic hair shave. My wife, Sarah, bought into the excitement. She bought a telescope. She planned a viewing party. She made punch. "It's a breakthrough, Artie," she'd said, her green eyes catching the light of the kitchen fixture. "Imagine what we'll learn. It's history passing by our front porch." "It's a rock, Sarah," I'd muttered, washing the dishes. "A big, weird rock. Don't expect E.T. to bike across the moon." We were both idiots. The conspiracy theorists thought it was intelligent. The scientists thought it was inert. The truth is, the Peregrine wasn't either. It was something else. It was a command key for a lock we didn't know was built into our DNA. The problem started 2 days before the point of closest approach. It began with a weird feeling in the air. You could feel it on your teeth, a taste like chewing on aluminium foil. The birds stopped first. Yardley is usually loud with jays and cardinals in the summer, but Tuesday morning, the trees were silent. I went out to the porch and saw a robin sitting on the railing. It wasn't moving. It wasn't dead. Its eyes were open, blinking rapidly. But it just sat. I walked right up to it, close enough to touch its red breast, and it didn't fly. It just watched me with a bead black eye that seemed to contain too much depth. But then, Barnaby died. He didn't get sick. He just stopped. He was running in the yard, chasing a tennis ball, and then he collapsed mid-stride, like a puppet with cut strings. Massive cerebral hemorrhage, the vet said. A fluke. I buried him under the old oak tree on Thursday evening. The sun was setting, but the light was wrong. The peregrine was visible now, a smudge in the twilight. It wasn't white or blue. It was a colour the human eye struggled to translate. Something between a violet purple and the colour of a headache. It didn't reflect light. It seemed to absorb it. As I patted the dirt down with the flat of the shovel, the air pressure dropped. My ears popped hard, like I'd descended 10,000 feet in a single second. Then, the sound began. You may have heard about the mysterious hum that's heard around the world. It's in all of the conspiracy websites and forums. No one knows what causes it. Perhaps this thing does. I started to feel an all-encompassing thrumming in my chest, like I was standing in front of a concert speaker. I dropped the shovel. The ground beneath my feet rippled like water. The mound of earth covering Barnaby shifted. I stepped back, unable to believe quite what I was seeing. The hum gained in volume and frequency until I could barely hear myself think. The dirt over the grave churned. A paw broke the surface. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My throat had seized shut. I watched, paralysed by a reptilian fear, as my dog, my good boy, who'd been cold and stiff an hour ago, clawed his way out of the earth. But it wasn't Barnaby. The thing that shook the dirt off its coat looked like him, yes, but the movements were all wrong. Bones didn't seem to limit him. He stood up, but his front legs bent backward at the elbow, if you can call it that, before snapping forward again. He looked at me. His eyes were gone. In the sockets, there was only that shifting, bruised purple light, swirling like oil on water. Artie? I spun around. Sarah was standing on the back porch, holding the pitcher of punch. She dropped it. The glass shattered, red liquid splashing over her bare feet. She didn't flinch. She was staring at the sky. I looked up. The peregrine was directly overhead. It spanned the horizon, huge and terrible. It was a rift. A tear in the fabric of the sky, revealing a pulsating, fleshy biology behind the curtain of stars. It looked like the interior of a throat, vast and wet, spanning thousands of miles. It's beautiful, Sarah whispered. Her voice sounded far away. I roared at Sarah to get inside, finding my voice. I grabbed the shovel, brandishing it at the thing that used to be Barnaby. The dog thing just tilted its head, its neck rotating a full 180 degrees with a wet snap. I ran for the porch, grabbing Sarah's arm. Her skin was burning hot. We have to go to the basement, now. But the song, Artie, she said, resisting me. She was smiling, but it's not a smile that I recognised. Can't you hear the choir? I dragged her inside and slammed the door, locking it. I drew the bolt across. I dragged the heavy oak dining table in front of it too. That was 3 days ago. We're in the basement. I've boarded up the small windows. I've got a battery-powered lantern, a few gallons of water, and a shotgun I haven't used since my grandfather died. The first night, the power went out, but the lights didn't turn off. The bulbs in the ceiling fixtures shattered. and the filaments inside continued to glow with that sickly purple light. I smashed them with a broom handle, but the light remained, hanging in the air like a luminous smoke. The TV doesn't work, but the radio does. It's the only link to the outside world, and that's the worst part. For the first 6 hours, the emergency broadcast system played that jarring tone. Then, a voice came on. It wasn't a recording. It was a news anchor from Portland, a man I'd listened to for years. "Do not be alarmed," he said. His voice was calm, cheerful even. "The biological reintegration is proceeding ahead of schedule. The chrysalis is opening. Please step outside to facilitate the shedding of the husk. Do not cling to the old ways. The new way is pure love." Then, sounds of wet tearing and even wetter laughter. I turned the radio off, but Sarah turned it back on. She sat in the corner, rocking back and forth. "It's evolution, Artie," she mumbled. "We thought we were the finished product. We were just the larva." "Sarah, stop it," I snapped, checking the shotgun shells for the 100th time. My hands were shaking. "It's a contagion, radiation or something. It's hallucinogenic." "Is it?" She looked up. Her left eye had migrated. It was now an inch lower, resting on her cheekbone. Her pupil had dissolved into a hellscape of disconnected shapes. I backed away from her. "Sarah?" "It doesn't hurt," she said, touching the sliding eye. "It feels loose, free. Why do we keep our organs in such tight little cages, Artie? They want to breathe." I retched. I couldn't help it. I dry heaved into the corner of the room. When I looked back, she was staring at her hands. Her fingers were lengthening, the knuckles dissolving, turning into tentacles of pale flesh. "I'm going to check the radiator," I lied. I needed air. I needed to be away from the thing becoming my wife. I went up the stairs with my shotgun raised. The house was silent, but the walls were breathing. The wallpaper patterns were shifting, swirling slowly. The geometry of the hallway was wrong. The distance from the basement door to the kitchen should have been 10 feet, but it felt like a mile. The perspective was stretched, like a dolly zoom in a Hitchcock movie. I looked out the peephole of the front door. Yardley was gone. In its place was a garden of nightmares. The oak trees had become towering spines of cartilage, their branches weeping red sap. The houses were melting, the vinyl siding fusing with the people who hadn't made it inside. I saw Old Man Jones, my neighbour. He was standing in the middle of the street. He was merged with his car. His torso grew out of the hood. His skin fused with the metal. The engine block beating like a second heart in his exposed chest. He waved at me with a windshield wiper that ended in a human hand. He was screaming, but not in pain, in ecstasy. And, above it all, the peregrine hung in the sky, moving away now, receding. But the damage was done. The conspiracy theorists were wrong because they thought in terms of invasion. They thought of little grey men with lasers. They thought of war. War implies two sides. War implies a conflict. This wasn't a war. It was a terraforming event. Or rather, a bioforming event. NASA was right about one thing. The Peregrine was leaving the solar system. It was just passing through. We weren't the destination. All we were was a roadside attraction. We were a petri dish that got sneezed on by a passing god. It didn't want our resources. It didn't want our women. It didn't want our planet. It just broadcasted a signal that rewrote the fundamental constants of our biology. It turned off the stop command in our cells. It erased the blueprints that keeps a human, and a dog, a dog. We're fluid now. We're becoming something communal. I went back downstairs. I had to. I couldn't leave her alone. Sarah had changed more in the 10 minutes I was gone. She was no longer sitting in the chair. She was part of the chair. Her skin had fused with the wood, her spine elongating and wrapping around the legs. Her face was still there, but it was stretched across the backrest, flattened and wide. "Artie," the chair mouth said. "Join me. The unity is exquisite." "No," I sobbed, raising the shotgun. "Sarah, please." "There is no Sarah," the wood flesh sighed. "There is only the song. The Peregrine showed us the way. The flesh is a canvas, and we've been painting in grayscale for too long." I sat on the cold concrete floor, the shotgun across my lap. I can't do it. I can't shoot her. Even now, looking at that monstrosity, I see the woman I married. But I can feel it in myself now. My handwriting is changing as I write this journal. My knuckles are becoming soft. My fingernails fell out 10 minutes ago, pushing out new translucent growths underneath. My teeth feel loose. Not like they're falling out, but like they're moving. I can feel a second row pushing down from my gums. And the hunger's starting. I'm not hungry for food. I'm hungry for contact. I want to touch the walls and become the walls. I want to hold the gun and let the metal flow into my bloodstream. I understand now why Barnaby came back. He wasn't a zombie. He was just unburdened. The Peregrine is almost gone. The scientists were right. It was a breakthrough. It solved the problem of death. You can't die if you don't have a shape to lose. You can't die if you just keep growing, keep changing, keep integrating. I can hear Jones outside, revving his engine hard. He's calling my name. And Sarah's humming that vibration again. It's harmonizing with the hum in my own bones. My left leg has fused to the concrete floor. I can't get up. I suppose that settles it. I'm going to stop writing now. My fingers are merging together. It's hard to hold the pen. If anyone finds this, if there's anyone left who's still solid, don't look at the sky. Don't listen to the radio. And for God's sake, if your dog dies, burn it. Burn it before it remembers how to change. The walls are so soft, they look like skin. I think I'll just lean back. I think I'll just join.